Hey everyone, Tin Man here. How's it going? We're going to be back with the ESL Mobile Open today. We'll be playing, I believe it's 5 games. Well, we'll be watching, spectating, casting. Not so much actually playing. I won't actually be doing really any playing tonight. I might play a little bit afterwards. I don't know. I haven't decided. Depends on how I feel. I really just have not been playing too terribly much recently. I've been trying to take some time off, get a little bit of a mental reset and kind of rejuvenated to be ready to go whenever Season 1 hits. Plus, I feel a little bit uninspired to make a whole lot of content that I know is going to be obsolete in a week or so. Anyway, we'll be doing the ESL Mobile Open here. Great tournament, and of course, we're in the final weeks of the closed the closed qualifier. So this goes on for 2 weeks, and then I believe next week is the Phase 3 qualifiers, which is going to be broadcast on a different channel. I'm not going to be casting that. They'll have different casters for it. And in those Phase 3 qualifiers, I think it's just 1, maybe 2 weeks of those. I'm not entirely sure. It's shorter, though. And so that'll be really cool to see, like, the top of the top, and then the top 8 players from that will go on to the grand finals in person at ESL 1 Los Angeles, which would be pretty cool. Hey, what's up, Brandon? Rainy day. Oh, that's unfortunate. It is well, it's actually not that bad here. It's nice out. A little cold, but, it's supposed to be cold up in the Pittsburgh area. But it's going all right. It's going all right for me. Just going to be casting some Underlords. Can't get much better than that. So that should be fun. I'm still waiting on getting a lobby code here, so we'll be, having people trickle in and start getting everyone in before we start up. So we'll get that going as soon as possible. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm doing all right. Oh, sorry. Just got a little pop-up error. Nothing big. I just got confused for a second. Anyway, so I'll be really excited to see how the kind of like the end of this meta plays out. I know we've had some balance changes somewhat recently since the last time. The NO has been nerfed, and NO has just been constantly tweaked. Let's see. So they made the big patch that released NO on the 30th. And then the next 3 patches have all substantially altered. Or 1, 2, 3, 4 patches since then have all substantially altered NO. Still think NO's in a really good spot. I still think he's a really strong Underlord, and is probably going to be the go-to for a lot of these players. We'll have to see exactly how popular he is today in this tournament. But overall, I think the meta's in a really good shape. There's a lot of diverse builds, a lot of different builds that can come in first place in any given game. Hey, Johan, greetings from Sweden. Well, greetings from Pittsburgh in the U.S. Sit up all night work because fire alarm is non-functional. Oh, well. There you go. Hope to do well in the tournament. Well, I'm actually not playing in the tournament, so it'll be difficult for me to do well in it. We'll be casting the tournament, though. We'll be talking about following some of the best players in the game and following what they're up to, and trying to illuminate their thought process and their gameplay, but I will not actually be playing in it in myself. Can I explain the ideal assassin build? So the ideal assassin build generally consists of 6 assassins. By the end game, you want to have up to 6 assassins. Where's it at? Let's see. Let's go over to the assassins, right? So you generally want to have 6. Probably Bounty Hunter is the weakest of the bunch. Maybe Nyx Assassin if you don't have insects. But then you're going to have everybody else. The weird part is that you generally are going to stick with just 3 assassins for quite a while into the game, up to level like 7, and then you maybe don't even get to 6 assassins until you get to level 8, or maybe even level 9 when you find like a Faceless Void. And you'll often really need to get some 3-star assassins. Ideally, Queen of Pain and Ember Spirit are like the big ones that you really want to get up to 3-star. Sometimes you might get Bounty Hunter and Nyx up to 3-star as well. if you find a lot of them early, but it's pretty imperative that you get one of them up to 3-star, get something as a 3-star assassin. Otherwise, they just really kind of lack some damage output in the late game. I've even seen sometimes 3-star Slark can carry the game really hard. Other than that, you're going to want to pair it often with insects, right? If you're running Nyx Assassin, then either Broodmother or Sand King makes a lot of sense to have them kind of, you know, be your front line and just provide a little bit of extra CC, a little bit of extra value. Looks like we've got a lobby code. So I'm going to join here, and I'm going to switch to spectator and get ready up so we can watch. This is a pretty good lobby. I already see Lord Gort, It's Martini, Pouty Panda, lots of big names here, so it should be pretty cool. Once they get started, then we'll hop into the game. But of course, so you want some insects as kind of your front line, especially like Nyx Assassin plus Weaver in the early game, really strong with assassins. Also, if you're running Bounty Hunter, even if you're not, Alchemist is a great pickup. He is just all around just a great guy to throw up front. His Acid Spray gives reduced armor, which means your assassins are going to be hitting even harder. So I like Alchemist a lot in those kind of lineups. And if you're running Viper, then a Dragon of some sort helps him quite a bit as well. But those are generally like the things I'm targeting if I'm running assassin builds. Obviously Assassins, Dragon, Alchemist, Insects are my general go-tos with assassin builds. Just some people messaging me on Discord about the lobby here, so hopefully we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to try something a little bit different here than previous times I've cast tournaments. We're just going to be like focusing in on just watching one player for like their entire time and trying to get a real good feel of like what they're seeing and what they're up to. So we're going to be watching their shop a whole lot more and just trying to tell the storyline of this player, since the person who had just messaged me on Discord was Lord Gort. So we're going to follow Lord Gort. And then for subsequent games, we'll just take the winner of the previous game and we'll follow them all the way through the next game, just so we can keep it fair to who exactly we're watching here. Hey, what's up, Nephilim? How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, I've been taking a little bit of a break on content. Well, not a break, but like toning it down a little bit. I've not been putting out quite as much content, not streaming as much, not as many videos in the past 2 weeks-ish, week or two. Just been trying to get myself kind of, I don't know, rested, rejuvenated, in a better state for whenever season 1 comes out. Then we'll be making a big push towards lots of content, obviously, with new stuff. But yeah, I will be streaming this tournament, and then this is probably my last time I'm actually streaming a tournament for a while. We'll see how. We'll see what I'll be up to after this. Anyway, here, Assassins and Spirits are breaking the meta. I have not seen that, but I find that a little hard to believe. I haven't really seen a good, like, a consistently strong spirit build in quite a while, but it's possible someone's unlocked like some really powerful spirit build and they're having success with it. Okay, so let's talk about what Lord Gort here is up to. So obviously it picked up some individually powerful units, the Timbersaw, the Queen of Pain, and the Shadow Shaman. Doesn't have a great sense of direction here, but this pack does contain a second assassin, Queen of Pain, and or a pair of assassins and a Nyx assassin. And of course you're definitely going to pick up the pair of Shadow Shamans. So I actually really like where this is going. You get 2 pairs of individually quite powerful units, the Queen of Pain and the Shadow Shaman. The build is fine here. It's not like a guaranteed win streak build. It's not super strong, but it's it's reasonable. It doesn't have any 2 stars, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it lose. But against Sleep here, who's running only 2 units, you would normally think that this would be like, oh yeah, definitely going to win against just 2 units, but they're actually like really powerful units. Enchantress with the headdress is like, this entire team's going to be at full HP. Like, yeah, they just end the fight like at full HP. So I think Sleep was like trying to go for some sort of like a losing streak, but then apparently Lord Gord's comp is just like they tried not hard enough. They didn't try hard enough to lose. So kind of unusual. Anyway, so Lord Gord is 1-1 right now, so which is not an ideal spot, but you do get a free reroll out of the deal. And so the idea here is to use that free reroll right away to see if you can get a sense of direction. And probably, since we don't have any 2 stars or any like level ups, you probably want to here's a Druid Alliance. I was gonna say just kind of leave the same composition and maybe accept that you're probably gonna lose just because okay, your comp's not that strong, but that's okay. You lost the 1 round. You're not finding a huge upgrade. Just take a loss or 2 here and get your rerolls. Try to find out which direction you're supposed to go. Looks like they do put in the Druid Alliance, although I don't know if that's like it's not super strong at the moment. It's fine, but most other players have at least a 2-star naturally. Actually, there's not that many. I thought there was more. It's just that the 2 people that Lord Gord has played recently have been those ones who have the 2 stars. But by this point, you're expecting a lot more 2 stars. Does find the 2-star Queen of Pain. That's not really huge. Notice that he's not like slammed it right into play quite yet. Does actually end up putting it in. I was thinking like because you've lost 2 in a row, there's some argument to say don't put it in. Like don't actually try to play the best composition here. To try to keep that losing streak, but maybe I'm a little bit too big of an advocate of a losing streak strategy, and it looks like Lord Gord here is instead going to just opt to say, I think this comp is really strong with the Shadow Shaman 2-star, the Queen of Pain 2-star. I think I can win, and so let's just win the fight and start a win streak rather than try to keep losing. And we see a very strong win here. Also has a pair of Timber Saws, which is a little hard to fit into an Assassin comp, but I guess if you do find a Bounty Hunter, Timber Saw can be a good frontliner. Looking around the board here, we don't see anybody else really on Assassins. No one else has picked up any Queens of Pain or any... there's a good number of Nyx Assassins, I suppose, but I think Nyx Assassin is like common enough that a lot of people are going to try it no matter what. But I really like... Queen of Pain is like the big defining moment of an Assassin comp, I think, in the early game. And finding the 2-star Queen of Pain here, I think Lord Gord is like almost certainly locked into an Assassin build. Well, maybe not locked in, but locked on is like really looking for that as like default option is like, I want to play Assassin. That is my primary goal in this game. And so maybe we get to see exactly where this Assassin build ends up going. Hey, Wooly Ram, good evening. How are you? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the tournament. We're going to be taking this approach to the tournament where we're mostly just following a single player through the whole game until they either win or get eliminated. Just to try to give a more coherent kind of story to the game. So with an Assassin build, they generally have very high attack damage, just because they're going to be critting it a lot. So I was going to say you often want an attack speed item with them. So Hand of Midas made a lot of sense, but of course opting for a Stonehold Pike is another very powerful item because Queen of Pain in particular is going to rack up a ton of kills in the early game. She just does so much work. Scream Pain does a ton of damage early on. And so not at all surprising to see this get picked up because she already has 6 kills and it's only going to get better and better from there. So I like this Stonehold Pike pickup, although I wouldn't have faulted you for the Hand of Midas pickup either. We do see that Lord Gord has got a 2-star Omni Knight and does have a pair of Chaos Knights on the bench. And this is a little bit odd, I'll say. It's, in my experience, it's often been very hard to bridge the gap between Knights and Assassins. There's just like no natural overlap there. A natural overlap would be something like even like a Heartless Assassin, because you've got like Abaddon, who's a Heartless Knight. I guess dragons between Dragon Knight and Viper is some kind of bridge between the two. But there's like no trolls for like Bat Rider to go into Assassins. So the other consideration here is that Assassins really haven't come together. There's a Bounty Hunter here, but it's pretty late. Does find the 2-star Chaos Knight, and that's also really huge. Of course, the Demon Alliance is going to overlap a little bit. But Chaos Knight's still insanely strong. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lord Gort go on a big win streak here with all these 2-stars that are all very powerful. And Omni Knight's also like ridiculously strong as well. I don't want to discount how strong Omni Knight is in terms of damage output. Like, he's top damage right now. Like, Queen of Pain did her scream, and Omni Knight still was top damage for a few autos there. And then he's top damage again. Not to mention his healing. Like, Omni Knight is a big damage dealer. His Purification hits real hard. 400 AoE. That's even more than the Scream of Pain. But of course, it's a smaller radius. So it's kind of looking like this build that I thought was going to be like locked in onto an assassin style build early on. By just like picking up the knights on the side is like really looking that knights may be a viable option here. Looking around at the rest of the board, we don't really see anybody else. No one else has picked up an Omni Knight or a Chaos Knight. So in contrast, there's at least some other people dabbling in assassins. Maybe not so much on the Queen of Pain, but on some other assassins, the Nyx Assassin, the Bounty Hunter, have been picked up by a lot of other opponents. So it honestly looks like Knights may even be a better option here. It does have the 2-star Enchantress, which is potentially a 3-star now with the Druid Alliance. And because Lord Gort is on a good win streak here, it was an efficient time to level up to 5 and just say, yep, I'm just going to level up. I'm going to try to keep this win streak going. And is probably going to do just that up against Alfredo Bot here, who's running a lot of 1-star units. Alfredo Bot does have a 2-star Treant, but even that gets focus fired down real quick by 4 units at once. Queen of Pain is going to scream, and it's just going to hit everybody for so much damage. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where this build ends up going. I think with the fact that you've got 2-star Knights and no one else is going towards that, but I think that makes a lot of sense to go further into Knights. And yeah, you might be abandoning this Queen of Pain at some point in the late game. And it kind of sucks to abandon something that has a lot of kills and is so powerful and also has a Stonehull Pike. But, you know, if you're going to go into an uncontested strategy that I think is still quite strong, then I'm not upset by that by any means. So the lone remaining player here on a win streak, Lord Gort, is doing pretty well for himself. Certainly better than Alfredo Bot, and who actually has more HP than It's Martini. Last I checked, Martini was somewhere up in the top, however many places. I don't know exactly what rank he was, but it was pretty high, and having a worse life total than Alfredo Bot here is probably not not ideal for him. This build just shows no signs of slowing down. It just has so many 2-star units. The problem is going to be, where does the next unit come from? There's no immediately obvious unit. I mean, I guess Lycan provides 2 alliances, but they're pretty low impact alliances, and he doesn't really do much else for you. Treant Protector could make sense if you're looking to add a different Druid, maybe instead of the Enchantress. A 2-star Treant's much more impactful. Does pick up Enno, the Healin' and Stealin', and Healin' is a great option for a Knights-based composition, especially if you want to play healers. And Enno's just ridiculously strong as is at the moment. I think he's just a lot of players in this lobby picked up Enno. 4 have picked up Enno, 1 on SX, 3 on Hobgen. What's my rank? I haven't played too much in the past couple days, so I'm currently unranked. But last time I was playing, I was in the top 50. I was like 40th or something. So I'm somewhere around there, rank 40ish, or rank maybe a touch lower, somewhere around the top 50. So this game is going really well here for Lord Gort. Does get beat by this Enno with the 5 stacks of poison, which is super impactful against all this healing. But honestly, I don't think it's going to make that much difference. Yeah, the healing gets cut down, but there's not that much damage to follow up, and there is quite a bit of healing still. So does look like this build is going to take another win here against Martini, and is going to go up to a 7-round win streak, 1 away from completing the win streak. The problem is, most people are kind of looking at level 6 by now. Like 1, 2, 3 opponents are at level 6, and that there's probably going to be 1 or 2 more that go up to level 6 on this turn. And Lord Gord probably like wants to go to level 6, but there's just nothing that makes sense right now to put in. That's going to be a big power spike, like Tusk, kind of. And with the fact that you're looking at trying to complete a win streak, you're definitely going to feel pressure to try to do that level up. Because like, what if somebody you play against somebody who's level 6? It does put in the Tusk, but it's pretty low impact, all things considered. We'll see if that'll be good enough. Does go up against Pouty Panda, who's also on a good win streak, so this will be a tough one. Who does have a 2-star Tinker, who is very powerful at this point in the game. 2-star of any 3-cost unit is quite strong at the moment. This early on for sure. Not just Tinker, but Tinker in particular. Very good. Looks like he's going to be able to take it here. Most of the frontline healing is good enough, and the NO, of course, still going strong, and Shadow Shaman providing all the CC, and still being very healthy. Omni Knight and Queen of Pain are just like super carries. These guys are great. Omni Knight in particular is like really surprising how strong he is in terms of just like healing and damage output at 2-star. He can really carry this. So Lord Gord has completed a win streak. The only player to still be on a win streak of any sort, and now, of course, completing that is going to be a big chunk of gold, and his net worth skyrockets. But the question is, where do you go from here? This build was already kind of in a weird spot of, like, it doesn't really know what it's doing. It's just playing individually good units, which is a great formula for the early game. But the problem is going to be transitioning to the mid and late game. If you don't have a coherent direction, is like, what do you transition into? It may end up just being find good 4-cost units and play them. It might mean that things like Chaos Knight and Queen of Pain and all these other 2-star units are just going to be replaced at some point soon. But that's not the worst if you're still winning and dealing lots of damage. So, yeah, this is pretty good. Did I get knocked out or just didn't play? I did not play. I did not play Cameron Cooper. I did not play in the tournament because I had a contract to be casting the tournament, so I knew there would be days that I wouldn't be able to play in it because I have to be casting it. So I was not playing in it. So that just makes sense that if you're going to be casting it, you can't really play in it at the same time. So, does look like Lord Gord here has gotten up to 4 druids, which makes a lot of sense given the fact that you already found the lone druid for the extra savage, and then finding the treant just is perfect here. Also picks up just powerful 4-cost units like Sven and Dragon Knight. So, I'm not a huge fan of druids in the late game, but at this point in the game, oh my gosh, they're absurd. Like, this whole board is like still near full HP. It's just crazy. It's going to be hitting people for like 20 damage. I mean, that was Alfredo bot, but like, he took 19. That's pretty impactful. Dual monitors. I mean, I might have been able to get away with that, but I didn't think it was wise nor appropriate to be playing in a tournament that I would be casting for. So this game is going incredibly well here for Lord Gord, and there's also the fact that this whole tournament is played on mobile, as it is the ESL Mobile Open. So that would be even a bigger challenge to try to cast and also play something on mobile, which I don't even have a device that can play it on mobile. So that's another problem I'd have to solve. So there's, because I have like really old technology, like I'm living in the past in terms of like my technology level. So yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. Anyway. This may be a big, well, maybe not a big challenge this round, because Lord Gord is still quite far ahead with this build. But there's a mage build, which this build kind of lacks a lot of the CC and defensive options. It's kind of like just built on big AOE and just having big beefy guys, 2 stars where everyone else is still running 1 stars. So at some point in the future, mages might be pretty scary to play against for this kind of build without access to scale buff, or if they don't find access to 4 knights. But That's not the case right now. The mages was still a little bit weak, and they just got run over real easily. It does find the 2-star Treant, which means a potential for a 3-star Druid, maybe a Lone Druid, maybe the Treant, or just the unfortunate Enchantress or Shadow Shaman. Does look like it is the 3-star Enchantress, probably the worst option of the bunch, but that's bound to happen from time to time. Yeah, it's a little bit more healing. This is just a really strong win streak, still up at above 92 life, and I wonder how long they're going to stick with 4 Druids. Of course, Lone Druid and Treant Protector make a lot of sense into the later stages of the game. We do see a concerted effort here to pick up more Knights on the bench, so maybe looking at going into like 4 Knights, and like 4 plus like 2 Druids is totally reasonable. Maybe even keeping 4 Druids if you want to go with Shadow Shaman, but there's no Batrider in sight, and Batrider is pretty low impact at this point in the game, so probably not looking towards that. In terms of items here, I guess Desolator is probably the pickup. Blade Mail is like acceptable, but it's not like super appealing because you already have damage and already have some good defensive items. Desolator helps your damage output a bit because you're a little bit lacking in terms of that damage output right now. Like, you don't have a super carry, you're just relying on like big units right now. You don't have that like I don't know, somebody who would be like a 2-star Dragon Knight or 2-star Sven who can like really carry you. They're working towards it, but does not currently have it, so a little bit of extra damage output is probably acceptable in this style of build. We do see this Treant Protector getting burst down really quickly. He does not have a defensive item. Instead, often put the defensive items on Chaos Knight and Omni Knight, which, you know, given how strong Omni Knight has been earlier in the game, I can't really fault them for putting it on the Omni Knight, but I can't help but think that one of these items, either Chainmail or Vanguard, should be on the Treant Protector, especially because he's on the corner, so anybody who's like stacked in this back left corner is just going to focus fire on the Treant. And with no defensive option, he actually goes down really quickly. And this is actually looking like it's probably going to be the first loss here in quite a while. Going up against Pouty Panda with the Scrappy build, this sniper is not dead and does not look to actually be dying anytime soon. This Eno is not quite good enough. These insects plus the sniper. This sniper just survived for way too long. Taking an unfortunate loss here. It was pretty narrow. I think the Treant died really quickly, and a 2-star Treant should definitely provide a lot more value than that. If you're going to run this Treant without an item and keep the items on these other two, I would definitely not have Treant on the corner. I would like probably set him off 1 step backwards. Just to like, if it's somebody stacked in this back corner, which a lot of opponents are, they would kind of split their fire between the Omni Knight and the Treant if he's set back 1 step. But that's just like something that you have to like watch the fight and see how it plays out and realize that, oh yeah, sometimes this Treant just gets burst down. So, this Queen of Pain getting silenced by the Chaos Knight and vice versa. Now this Chaos Knight silenced by the Queen of Pain. It's not really an issue in this particular fight, but you can easily see this becoming more and more of an issue as the game goes on. I'm sure they're not really interested in picking up more Queen's Pain, unless the possibility of a 3-star exists, which it might. I have to imagine you're looking to try to find a way to get rid of that, and maybe even get rid of these other Druids, just because Enchantress and Shadow Shaman aren't providing quite as much utility anymore, and you could kind of just get rid of them and just get either a 3-star Treant or a 3-star Lone Druid. There is a Necrophos, though, which does provide a lot of value with that Healer Alliance, especially with, you know, the heal and Eno. I think at this point, you're either looking to just level up, up if it makes sense, or if you really need bench space, just sell off these excess Queens of Pain. Does look like they're not going to level up. I think you could have afforded to level up. Costs 30 gold. You just drop you down by 1 gold on interest, which isn't the worst thing in the world. The worst exchange. It's a big Spirit ult. Hits 4 or 5 units there, but not a lot. Oh my god, that's a huge one. That ult slam hits everybody. Double Delta Slams right in a row, hitting everybody is actually ridiculously impactful. Look how strong these Spears are, just going crazy here. this is one of the weaknesses of a big stacked up composition like Knights. If you're not in the corner, Spirits can absolutely shred you. I mean, you don't typically expect to see too many Spirit builds, and this isn't even a Mage Spirit build. It's just a Warriors and Spirits, which is like really unusual. It's running a 3-star Enchantress, has 4 Spirit units, Earth, Ember, and then 2 copies of Storm Spirit. But like, this is not a build I would have expected anybody to have been playing this game, and it looked really impressive there against this kind of stacked up in the middle formation. If opponents are kind of more stacked in corners, I think that Spirits is going to be a lot less impactful. But for this turn, that was pretty huge. So now Lord Gort does opt to level up and puts in an extra knight, up to 5 knights. Not the biggest thing. Does have the 1-star Dragon Knight, but the opponent here, the Ghost of HTPG, does have the 2-star Dragon Knight, which is looking pretty strong. It does get rooted by the bear. So it does look like Lord Gort's going to take the win here, but it was kind of close. If that bear didn't get a root, and let's say the Dragon Knight got 2 more auto attacks off, 2 more autos probably kills the Spirit Bear, the Sven, and like maybe and the Lone Druid, and probably like turns the tide of that fight pretty hard. So that was like, it looked like a convincing win, but it really wasn't. It was very close. Could have easily seen that going the other way. That's 3 Abaddons in one pack. Oh my goodness. You definitely pick up at least the first 2 here. Probably not looking for more healers, because they've already cut the Enchantress and the Shadow Shaman, as we kind of expected to go down to just 2 Druids. But Necrophos is still really strong, just like by his own merits, especially if you're getting Abaddon in with it. For Heartless, like, I would not be opposed here to just cutting the Queen of Pain and going for that Necrophos in there. You generally want a mana item with the Necrophos, so it's a little bit he's a little bit low impact at 1-star. He just takes a long time to get his mana going. But I definitely think Necrophos is like a consideration here, unless he's really tied to this Queen of Pain. I mean, she does a lot of damage. Not even picking up the Necrophos. That's a little surprising. Mask Minus is a good option if you want to find a Troll Warlord. You do have a potential for a Bat Rider, and the idea of Trolls is probably not completely out of reach, but Battle Fury works well on Chaos Knight and Sven. So no surprise to see that one picked up. I'm just kind of not banking on a Troll Warlord coming up. Just saying I'm just going to pick a consistently good item. Does spend a reroll there. Does not find anything, and opts to sell off the Queens of Pain, and just saying, yep, we're just going to stick with the 2-star Queen of Pain, if anything. And honestly, I'm not even convinced that's that useful. Already at level 8, so if you get up to level 9, you want to add in Bat Rider for your 6th Knight. If you get up to level 10, you want to add a Viper or another Dragon to empower Dragon Knight, once you have a 2-star Dragon Knight, of course. And then Queen of Pain should probably get replaced for like a Troll Warlord, because you already have Trolls, and that would be a better carry. I kind of wonder if Lord Gort is thinking that because of the Stonehall Pike giving such a massive advantage that he just feels like obligated to stick with the Queen of Pain. I'm not sure that maximizing the Stonehall Pike is the most important thing at the moment. Lord Gort does take a loss here against It's Martini, who is running a pretty strong Scrappy build, who's actually in 2nd place right now. Took a big chunk there. It's Martini with a 2nd place Scrappy build, has double Silver Edge, which I gotta think was a big part of that fight, as well as the Deadeye Alliance. Deadeye is so good against like healing based compositions who have a couple weak units. This build doesn't look like it's super healing based, but the Omni Knight has a lot of heal, the Abaddon has a lot of heal, Eno has a lot of heal. So the Deadeye bonus is just able to shred right through them, and with very little way to access the Sniper, especially between the Bloodbound bonus and the all-out attack providing a big stun, and the Hunter Alliance. I really like Martini's build here. Here we see this Retreat Protector getting burst down again. Still does no defensive item, and it's on the corner, and this opponent who's stacked up in the left corner just completely shreds through them. The bear is pretty much uncontested and gets onto the Dragon Knight, so it looks like the Dragon Knight does go down eventually, but it takes a while. So this fight was still close, but luckily does not actually get punished. This fight could have easily gone the other way, but it does look like Lord Ward is going to take the win here against HTPG and deal a little chunk of damage, not enough to knock him out though, of course. Alright, does finally get up to 6 knights with the level up to 9 here on a pretty efficient turn. Is picking up the Vipers, so as soon as a 2-star Dragon Knight comes around, Viper is just like, just has to go in somewhere to empower that Dragon Knight. But at 1-star, it's not that big a deal because a 2-star or a transformed Dragon Knight 1-star, not that impactful. Yeah, I think this may suffer from the same problem here. It's up against its Martini again. The Treant Protector is a little exposed. Is kind of getting burst down. Getting AoE stun. This is just, like, all-out attack is just so ridiculously powerful. It really is just so strong. I think it's, like, definitely too strong. It, like, Lord Ward had like 8 units up when All Out Attack came out versus like 5 from its Martini. And then All Out Attack came out and nothing else died. Because everything was stunned for 2 seconds. And then also had a 50% healing reduction. And was taking massive chunks of damage. Like Eno is probably the highest damage dealer. Oh, by a mile. Like this is a build that has a Sniper with a Hunter buff, a Lycan with a Hunter buff, and a Deadeye and a Bloodbound buff. And Eno was still the highest damage output by far. All Out Attack Eno is really strong. Really strong. Ooh, here's the Spirit build again. I want to see how this one goes. This is a very interesting take on a Spirit build. It does have a Kunko, which is really going to punish this stacked up Knights build. And then the Spirit AoE hits everybody. It's basically everybody, but it's not enough. Nobody's dying. The Knight's bonus plus the healing is keeping everyone up. I don't even think that another big AoE even matters. Like, Treant is still like full HP. Okay, he's like half HP, but like 1 Leech Seed and he's back to full. Man, this Spirit build looks sweet, but it like does not have impact in the later stages of the game. That's Sleep eliminated in 7th place. A very innovative build. Warriors and Spirits. Unfortunately, had another competition from Mages and Spirits from Nexus, and also just no way of countering the healing that's coming out of this Treant Protector plus the Omni Knight plus the heal in Eno. Yeah, Treant and Eno just kept everybody up. If you couldn't burst those 2 units down, it just didn't matter. If it got like a 3-star Lone Druid instead of a 3-star Treant, that might have been a win the other for Sleep instead. I think it was literally that close. Was like if the Treant goes down in the first wave, he doesn't get to heal up for the 2nd and 3rd wave. Here's another Spirit build, the Mages. Much better use of Spirits because they'll be bursting much harder with the Alliance bonus. Like, really just shreds everybody who's in it because it deals basically double damage. The Treant is 3-star this time, but he's like being slowed real hard, so he doesn't actually get to move forward. The Crystal Maiden hits onto the Omni Knight, prevents his healing, and also stuns him for a few seconds. A second Lich ult comes out and just cleans up. Very close. Lorgart does take a hit here, but I wouldn't feel too upset about that. Like, honestly, if the fight goes ever so slightly different, there's a lot of low health opponents on that board that, like, you don't feel like, oh, I could have never won that. You feel like you can win that, especially if you get a 2-star Dragon Knight or a 2-star Viper. I haven't really been watching the shop recently, but that's still something that could come up very easily. So it does pick up a Mechanism, and I love this item. I love Mechanism. 750 HP, basically you're a whole team. Sometimes it doesn't trigger on everybody, but come on, it's super strong. That's a 3-star Tinker out of Pouty Panda. If you see that, you gotta feel really afraid. It's a 3-star Tinker with a Vlad's Offering. That's gonna be probably placed up front and center, and it's gonna be real hard to deal with if you don't have a break effect or like a doom effect. This build does have with Viper. Of course, you can get lucky with getting Nether Toxin on it. That's far from guaranteed. Alright, Lord Guard against Cos Blue here, running Assassins. Of course, we haven't really seen these Assassins too much this game. This Faceless Void hits pretty well, stunning up all the Assassins, but there's not a lot of damage output coming out here. There's not that many 3-star Assassins. Like, none, right? That's Slark. Oh, the Slark. Never mind. There's a Slark that's still alive. Sorry, I missed that part. I didn't realize there was a 2-star Slark who was still alive at the end of that. I'm thinking they're kind of lacking damage output. That's because all their damage output was backloaded. They needed to get Slark just to survive long enough, and survive long enough he did. So, still an okay spot with 26 HP. Still not, you're not really in one-shot range just yet. You'd have to be a little bit concerned, though. You have lost a couple rounds in a row, and you don't really feel that that strong. He does have the 2-star Viper, and opting to put that in over the Druids, actually. Selling off both Druids for another Viper and another Omni Knight. I don't know about this one. It's kind of weird, like... I actually just think a 2-star Treant plus a 2-star Lone Druid is just good. It's just like something I just want to play, like, regardless. Because you know one of them's going to be 3-star. And they're just so impactful on their own. But it does seem to work out in this particular case. Does take down the mages. And so obviously going up to 6 knights is advantageous against mages because... or that swap is good against mages because you're putting another knight and a basically magic immune Viper. And of course the knights are heavily resistant to magic damage. So makes a lot of sense. You're able to beat up on the knights. I'm concerned that this build doesn't do very well against the Scrappies who remain. We'll have to see. Although I'm kind of skeptical of that. Does level up to 10 here. Has not spent too much on rerolling. Still missing that 2-star Dragon Knight. And is opting to get this Faceless Void in here because he knows that a lot of opponents are kind of stacked in back corners. So maybe Faceless Void buys a few extra seconds. That's valuable. Like, that's a really big Chrono Cube there. Will it be enough, though? I'm kind of skeptical. This is a big Tinker with the Vlad's Offering. It's going to be scary here. 3 Shadow Blades, and they're about that value. But yeah, Silver Edge. Silver Edge is really, really, really strong. Not only does the stats that it provides, 30 attack speed and 300 health, are like just good to like any unit that wants to be in the fight. Just applying Break is really good. It disables items, it disables passives. So like it just disables a lot of effects and like really makes units a lot more vulnerable. So break effects are very strong. Not to mention good stats. Okay, so Lord of War facing elimination here does finally pick up the 2-star Dragon Knight. Unfortunately, it's going to go up against like the same opponent they just went up against, but of course, Phantom version and whatnot. So the fight is going to play out very similarly. The Chrono Cube does come out. Dragon Knight being 2-star now is going to make a difference. I don't think it makes a big enough difference, though. This Dragon Knight is not doing enough here. Does finally get the mechanism off, but it's way, way too late. This Tinker and Gyrocopter 2-star is just going to absolutely demolish this board. A 3-star Tinker at the Vlad's Offering is just unstoppable here. Lord Ward gets eliminated in 3rd, and we're down to our final 2, which happens to be 2 Scrappy players, taking slightly different approaches to the game. One going for the 3-star Tinker, and they're going, I guess they're both going Hunters. And the other one opting for a lot of Silver Edges. You gotta think that Pouty Panda probably has the better end of this with the 3-star Tinker and the Vlad's Offering, which I would definitely move up a step. Because if your guys walk forward a step at all, they're going to be out of range. This is only a 2-cell radius, so you want them as close to the center and front as possible. Not going to do that, so we'll see how it plays out. I guess no one did walk forward, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, I think a 3-star Tinker is just going to be too good. Like, I don't know how you beat a 3-star Tinker with a scrappy build. You need to like get a lucky assassinate, and that's about it. Alright, so taking Pouty Panda does get a win there. Does not knock out Martini just yet. The Tinker wasn't even the biggest damage dealer. It was all the Gyrocopter. This call down dealt so much. Can pick up either a Refresher Orb or Butterfly here. Actually, Scythe of Eyes might be a pick on the Tinker because of its 10 mana per second. Opting for Butterfly instead, which is still pretty strong on the Gyrocopter. But like, I wouldn't have been opposed to Scythe of Eyes honestly on Tinker. I wouldn't mind it. I would not have like said that was wrong. Martini picked up a Heart of Tarrasque on a Lycan. Of debatable value. It's really good if you get a 3-star Lycan. I'm just afraid this does not turn the table enough to beat this Gyrocopter Tinker combo. It's a great item on Lycan. Sorry, it is a great item for Lycan. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the best on him. I just don't think it's good enough to overcome the deficit that they're facing at the moment. Like, Lycan is just going to town here. Hard to kill, but he does eventually die. And yeah, Tinker's still full HP. As Pouty Panda takes game 1 in our first round here of the ESL Mobile Open Phase 2 qualifiers. So it's kind of the closed qualifiers. Great game 1. We mostly focused on following individual players here for that game. So next game, of course, with Pouty Panda winning, we will be following Pouty Panda for most of next game to try to dig into their thought process and see what's up on that front. Lord Gord just messaged me and says, "No, I don't know what Night Assassins is either." Anyway, so we're gonna have a bit of a break here. Feel free to ask any questions, thoughts about the game. I think Scrappies are really strong. Scrappies are pretty good. Obviously, with the top two. The top 2 places being taken by them. So we'll see how if that trend keeps up, or if we lose all of our players here. Oh no, they came back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still missing one player. Still missing Martini. So hopefully he comes back in time to get ready for the next game. One of my thoughts on the no units first 5 rounds going for a losing streak. So that's often referred to as the open fort strategy, and I don't like it. I do not think it is a good thing to have in the game. I think it's bad game design that it's viable or that it's possible to do. I think it's not fun to play as. I think it's not fun to play against. That's why I don't like it. For those 3 main reasons. Bad design, not fun to play with, not fun to play against. Is it good? Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I think it's a reasonably strong strategy because it ensures that you have a pretty consistent early game. You're always going to get lots of rerolls. And you're going to have like a guaranteed gold economy. That doesn't mean I like it, though. Hey, what's up, Lord Bart? How you doing? Just want to ride the Queen of Pain as hard as possible. Yes. You know, I think you made the best out of that kind of situation. I think you rode Queen of Pain for quite a while. You can actually go back and like watch this VOD. I mainly followed your play through the entire game. And as we're going to be doing this game, we're going to be following Pouty Panda here for most of the game. So Pouty Panda here on the first turn is going to go for just 2 units in play. So not a full open fort strategy, but just kind of like saying, I'm probably going to lose because they don't have any alliances. They don't have any like pairs of units initially. So like going for an early loss streak is not bad here. So it does take just 2 units in play, takes the loss, and probably is going to go on a losing streak, but it depends on how the packs all shape up. Seems weird that people choose losing to win. Yeah, that's part of why I don't like going for it. Like, intentionally lose streaking, fine. Intentionally saying, oh, I know I'm not strong right now, and I could buy this upgrade, or I could save for interest. Or I could level up like everyone else is doing, but I would rather keep my losing streak going for another turn or 2. Like, those are kinds of decisions that I think are good. To say, yes, I've lost a couple, I'm kind of weak, let's keep on losing for another turn or 2, because I find myself in a bad situation, let's make the best of it. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is I'm going to intentionally not play a single unit every single game. Like, your default strategy being open fort, that is not good gameplay. And I think far too many people use that as their default go-to strategy, and that's where things get bad, in my opinion. Get poor game design and unfun. Oh no, Pouty Panda won! Pouty Panda was definitely trying to lose streak here. Literally playing 1 unit. 1 unit wins the fight. They're probably thinking, what the heck just happened? Which, like, to be fair, I'm kind of surprised that they went to try to go to like, they didn't just try to go for winning, because you find a 2-star Nyx Assassin, which is, like, pretty good. I feel like you could have just, like, said, yeah, let's just try to win, instead of trying to lose by just playing 1 unit and somehow going up against somebody you could beat. And then now they're going to get even more punished. This is a disastrous start here. Going up against a 2-star Slider and a 2-star Bounty Hunter out of It's Martini, who is just going to demolish this build. And you notice they were at 9 gold before the round. They were intentionally trying to say, yeah, I'm gonna go to just 9 gold and hope I win to get another point of interest. So Pouty Panda doesn't get the streak, doesn't have any streak in either direction, not 2 of, just 1 win or 1 loss. Doesn't have interest. Like, this is disastrous start right now. This is disastrous. Hey, what's up, HTPG? How you doing? Good luck in your game. You are currently on a win streak. Very nice, very nice. So the way I'm going to be handling casting this is we're just going to be following one player at a time throughout the game and following their full storyline from beginning to end. But of course, over the course of the games, if whoever is the winner of the previous game, we will go in and follow them for the next game. So the bad luck continues here for Pouty Panda, who is going to take a win here against Ricardo Bot, despite once again only playing 2 units. This is just like, this is disastrous. There's no 2 ways about it. Trying to go for a losing streak by playing less units and now winning. It's literally been lose, win. Every round that Pouty Panda is trying to win, they end up losing, and every round they're trying to lose, they end up winning. It's like really weird. So the problem here is the greed, and I think this is like just this is a result of being greedy and being punished. So like sometimes you say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna lose, but I'm gonna try to almost win." Right? You're gonna play the 2-star Nyx Assassin, try to get 1 kill, to try to minimize the damage that you take when you're gonna lose, because you know you're gonna lose, right? Of course I'm gonna lose. Let me just play this unit and just try to get a kill, and then I take 1 less damage, right? And you try to preserve 1 health. Like that's the greedy play. Of course, the risk is, what if you accidentally win, which is what has happened every time this has come up. If they were more committed to lose streaking and just literally not playing a unit at all, then they wouldn't have been in this situation, and it would have been much better off. But of course, you just take a guaranteed amount of more damage. And now, despite completing the Scrappy and Insect Alliance, also takes a loss against Cost Blue here, who just has a much stronger build, and it's... I mean, the build that Patty Panda is going for is not bad. Like, has a 2-star Razor, has some Scrappies, not opting to pick up Treants or Legion Commanders, who are some of my favorite units. But it's kind of looking at this, like, Scrappies, Deadeyes, Hunters, which we've seen a lot of before. Does opt to sell off the Razor. Razor is a great unit, but interest is better when you're on this losing streak and you know you're not going to win anytime soon, or like go on a win streak anytime soon. So grabbing interest here makes a lot of sense. And Scrappies are powerful, so don't get me wrong, Scrappies are great. And going towards a pretty traditional looking Scrappy build, you know, maybe with some insects, maybe keeping open the options to go dragons. The problem is, of course, everybody's going to be going for this kind of strategy because Scrappies are so strong right now. And of course, the selling off to grab interest is probably beneficial, but you come into this round with, I guess, a lower than average net worth. Maybe even not. Cost Blue somehow is only 31 gold of net worth. Has Cost Blue been rerolling? I think they might have been. I don't know. That's really low at this point in the game. And there's like not a lot of high stars to like show for it. So I'm really confused about them. But I'm just looking around. We see a lot of people on Scrappies. Ricardo bot on Ricardo bot things. Yeah, this is looking to be in the direction of a Scrappy Hunter build, which is pretty popular, and for good reason. It's a good build. I honestly, when I checked the net worth, I honestly expected Pouty Panda to be much lower, because there's been like no, like they missed the interest early. There hasn't been a streak one way or the other. But it's not that bad in terms of net worth for them. So that was what I was honestly going and expecting them to be down in like the 50-ish range at this point. But they're doing all right. So you know maybe I'm a little bit too doom and gloom. This honestly isn't the worst spot in the world to be in. Blue is a newer player, literally started with ESL. Economy game may not be optimal. Maybe. Still, I still find it weird. I guess they don't have any interest, so I guess it can kind of balloon into that kind of a difference at this point. Still, it seemed really early to be that down on net worth, but I guess I haven't really played with people who aren't pretty good at economy in a long time, so I don't really know for sure exactly where people are if they don't play a similar way. Anyway, take a drink. My throat's already getting a little sore. Talking a bunch. I gotta pace myself. We got 3 more games after this one to get through. So, Split's going together pretty well for them. It does have the 4 Scrappies, amazingly powerful buff, giving all of your guys a lot of tankiness. Of course, 2 Insects provide a lot of damage throughout the game. And a 2-star Weaver. I mean, this thing's basically unstoppable. And of course, it has a Deso, which means that this Deso buff is just always going to be active. Like, it's going to be the last one dead. Had to be rerolling? Yeah, I kind of think that too. It's kind of weird. So being able to manage economy is the hardest part when trying to get some of your friends into the game. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. That's all I can say. Like, I mean, I have like guides on economy management, but like, it's much better to just like watch players do it and learn from that rather than anything else. Like, I think that's the best teacher. So this Scrappy build is going pretty well for Pouty Panda here, despite a kind of rocky start. Yeah, Cost Blue is like still. I guess they're just naturally going to be behind because they have just less interest. Every turn they're going to fall 1 or 2 gold behind. Oh well. We'll check in with them a little bit later, see if they are still sticking around. Does pick up Eno here. 7 of our 8 players have picked up Eno. He is a strong underlord. Let's put it at that. Eno is strong. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Oh, Ricardo Bot even picked Eno. I'm like, dang, that's a lot. And then I realized Ricardo Bot picked one. So, yeah. Watching the early videos and watching Baby when he would play, learned a lot of the value of economy. Yeah, it takes a while to like get used to it, but it's very important. Like, that is one of the biggest things. Like, once you get past the like, what is a composition and how do I play? Like understand like basic synergies and basic build structures. Then the next big step is managing the economy. And that's like a huge step for a lot of players to improving, is managing the economy properly. And it's also one of the like the least intuitive things, because it does take a lot of work to like get right. So there's going to be a lot of Enos bouncing all around. We got 1, 2, not counting Ricardo, but 1, 2, 3, 4 all-out attacks and 3 yoinks. Yeah, he's just so good. I think that I'd like to see him nerfed. Like, there's like 2 ways I can see it. You nerf all-out attack to like not apply 5 stacks of poison. Why does it apply 5 stacks of poison? It should apply like 2, maybe 3. I don't know. Like, it does not need to deal with that much damage and cut healing by that much. I also don't think that he should stun going in and out. Like, he should stun either when he escapes or when he lands. Not both. He just stuns so much. Or if he stuns that much, maybe he only triggers it like twice in a fight, not 3 times. I don't know. I would definitely have some heavy-handed nerfs on Eno if I was in charge of balance, which I'm not. But if Valve is hiring, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Know what I mean? Yeah, so Eno's a little strong. I bet they're probably not going to do any changes before Season 1 comes out. They're just going to let it play out, because Season 1's coming. That being said, other than Eno being a little bit strong, and maybe Scrappy's being a touch strong still, I think the meta is still in a fine shape. There's still lots of different viable builds. Pouty Panda is on a win streak here since picking up the Eno, but does look like that's going to end here up against Nexus, who's also on a win streak and has a similar build, but has the 3-star Enchantress. Just has some pretty good healing. Well, I say that, and then there's there it is. Okay. Oh, Sniper. Oh wait, hold on. I think I don't know what's gonna happen. The insects are the big deciding factor here. Okay. Yeah, Pouty Panda does lose. It was looking like it could go the other way. If Sniper didn't assassinate and just like autoed the Enchantress and assassinate somebody else, it could be totally different. I'm not playing Knockout anymore for the most part. Don't have to worry about economy or any of that. There's a little bit of economy management ideas in Knockout, but yeah, not as much. Not nearly as much. It's like, if you're doing well, you might want to save to reroll at a higher level. Like, that's about it in Knockout mode. But then with those nerfs, it wouldn't be all out. I mean, it still would be. It still hits everybody in the enemy team. It just, you know, doesn't need to hit everybody and apply 5 stacks of poison. It could hit everybody and apply 3 stacks. And, like, it's still good. It just, you know, it deals less damage to everybody. You know, maybe give some of the other Underlords a time to shine. Patty Panda doing pretty well here. Going a little bit as we expected. A little surprised to see Savages, right? So, like, Lycan makes sense because you want to go Hunters. Often Terrorblade works, Lycan works. Until you find Medusa, at which point, you know, the Ace of Hunters really takes over. But if you're on Lycan, you know, it makes some sense to try to find a Savage, whether that be is Sand King for the insects, or just Lone Druid. Lone Druid's just a good unit. No one ever was upset to have a Lone Druid in their lineup. So I think this is a pretty typical. I do kind of worry that, like, oh, there's still a lot of 1-stars here. Doesn't have the 2-star Clockwork. Doesn't have a 2-star Timbersaw. Doesn't even have a pair of them. So yeah. Ugh. Despite the win, like the fact that Patty Panda here is at 77 life, it is not like the best situation to be in here. Without these 2-stars, without the pairs even. Going up against HTPG here does have a lot of 2-stars. Has the 2-star Timbersaw, has the 2-star Bounty Hunter, the Weaver. This is just going to be a stomp. Patty Panda is going to take a huge chunk here, just because of the lack of 2-stars, as we just mentioned. Patty Panda takes 11. I guess that wasn't quite as huge, but still 6 people alive deals a good chunk of damage at this point in the game. Sand King was a strat last time. Sand King is good. Sand King is very, very impactful. I like Sand King a lot. For a lot of reasons. Not only does he have great alliances, he also just does a big AoE stun and big damage. Needs to move this Desolator. Ooh, Patty Panda did not get this Desolator off. Decided to bench the Nixos and could not get the Desolator out of there in time. Definitely Desolator makes a lot of sense on, I don't know, Sniper. Eventually it does get onto him. But not for the fight. Not for this fight, at least. Both Assassinates do go out, but then both all-out attacks go out. And it's a absolute mess, but unfortunately it looks like Patty Panda is getting the short end of the stick here against a 2-star Tinker and a 2-star Clockwork. Once again, these lack of 2-stars is really coming into play here. Does have, you know, Broodmother and Alchemist, who are, you know, stronger, but is also still rocking 1-star Bounty, 1-star Lone Druid, 1-star Alchemist, 1-star Lycan, 1-star Sniper. Like, where's the 2-stars? There just isn't. And yeah, this is not the greatest look. Not even the greatest items here. Like, they already have one Stonehull Pike, and like there's not enough kills to go around. Picks up with the second one, but like there's nobody who's super appealing to have it. I guess the Sniper has 9 kills. Ugh. It's not looking great here. This is kind of the effect of competition. This is what happens whenever 4 people are going for scrappies this game. Is that the scrappies are going to be contested, and it's going to be hard to get 2 stars on them. It's going to be like impossible to get 3 stars, but it's going to be even hard to get 2. Meanwhile, like the Knights here, they're going up against Nexus, who is kind of uncontested in Knights, has lots of 2 stars on their board. Of course, both running Eno, but even so, it is honestly looking better than I expected for the scrappies. Somehow, these insects are doing a lot of work. There's just not enough damage output. Where is the damage? for these knights. Holy cow. This scrappy build is going to win. What? How? Alright, alright. Scrappies are a little OP. Did Nexus level up to 8 this turn? Oh, no, he didn't. Wow. That was really unexpected. If I'm being honest, I did not... Like, this build literally has 2 stars. Broodmother and Weaver. And the Knights had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2 stars. Even had a 3 star, essentially, because of the Druid bonus. And they still won. Sniper's OP. Was it Sniper? Or was it Eno? That's what I'm asking you. So, the Eno was the all-out attack versus healing Eno. I think it was the Eno all-out attack that won the fight. All-out attack applying 5 stacks of poison to a healer comp that literally has the healer alliance was like a huge part of that, I think. Was definitely a huge part of that. Just cutting that healing in half for 5 seconds afterwards. It's crazy. Almost a draw. Almost a draw. Lord Grit does get the better end of Patty Panda here for just 2 damage. Super narrow fights. These scrappy on scrappy matchups. Once you get up to 6 scrappies, it's a pretty huge buff because it hits everybody, which is doesn't sound like much because you're already hitting all of your normal scrappies, but then it also hits your Underlord. So Eno gets lots of tankiness. Hey, Brenton, like the commentary in the channel in general, but why aren't I playing? I'm not playing because I have I'm casting it, pretty much. Because ESL approached me and said, hey, we want you to cast our tournament. And I said, that sounds great. I'd love to cast the tournament. And then I had the realization that if I'm casting the tournament, that's going to make it awfully hard to play in said tournament because I'll be casting the tournament. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I had to pick between the two. So I picked casting because I enjoyed casting a bit more. So yeah, that's where we're at. Ricardo Bot taking the big loss here. Ricardo Bot's build looked fine, which is funny. He had the yoink Eno, but like Ricardo Bot looked good. That Ricardo Bot looked fine. You lost to Nexus because you didn't get all-out attack. I feel like all-out attack is really busted. I really think it is. I think it is very strong. Like I said, I have a few choice nerfs in mind, but that's neither here nor there. So you do enjoy the casting? Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. I feel like one of the things that going forward is going to be something important to keep an eye on is like if you want, or if we want the auto battler genre underlords in particular to be successful and popular, then and we want it to be like have a tournament scene around it. One of the things is going to be finding good ways to cast it and to make it a good viewer experience, which is something that some games like Dota, like normal Dota, or a card game, for instance, does pretty well. There's one point of action. It's 2 players. It's player A versus player B. They're playing cards that are right next to each other. You can capture it all in one screen. And that's all you need to look at, is that one screen, unchanging. Every bit of information comes out on it. Or in a game like Dota, yeah, there's multiple lanes, and there's a big map, so it's not all on one screen. But, like, for the most part, in the later stages of the game, most of the action is happening on one screen size, right? You can put most of the action where most players are in one screen. There's a big team fight happening. You can fit it mostly in the screen and watch that. The big challenge is with Underlords and with other auto battlers, is that there's 8 screens, there's 8 perspectives, there's 8 different storylines, there's 8 different decisions being made every turn. And where do you start with that? What storylines do you pay attention to? Who's built? That was the fastest Vladimir's Offering pick ever. Vlad's Offering is so good. So, and then how do you make that like a compelling viewer experience? So, like, another kind of genre that has struggled with this is PUBG and battle royale games in general. And before Underlords came out, I was working with the Pittsburgh Knights as a PUBG analyst for their team. So I literally have watched like every major PUBG tournament up until like very recently. Like just watched them all and like analyzed them a lot. And one thing that they do there is there's a lot, like, until the final circle, there's action all over the map. Well, it's actually weird. There's like no action for the first couple of minutes, and then there's all kinds of action, and then it slows down as everyone kind of gets funneled into the very end. So I think they struggle with that kind of commentary, and it's reflected in their viewership numbers. Despite PUBG being a massively popular game, they just don't get viewership on their tournaments because it's so hard to watch that kind of game. And I think their commentary style is part of the problem. Like, the trying to capture all of the action is a problem. So what I'm trying here today is a little bit different, where we're just following one player and going deep into their story and what their decisions are, at least until they get eliminated, at which point we like swap to, you know, whoever's winning. And trying to bring the viewer experience from one perspective. Because unlike games like Dota, or like PUBG, or like mechanically intensive games, you can watch a game of Underlords and come away with it with something that you individually can use and learn about in your game that you can go and try out yourself. Whereas those other games like often involve team play or mechanics or like accuracy that it's very hard to replicate in your own experience. Like, oh yeah, I can watch like a great like Dota player make like some crazy like team play coordination, but like if I can't go and do that on my own game, like, you know, you're missing something, I feel. But if you watch a game of Underlords, you can like go and exactly duplicate what you just saw. So kind of giving a little bit of every bit of action doesn't leave you with anything to take away from the broadcast. To take away from the tournament and be like, oh, that's something I want to try. Like, I remember when this player that we were watching did this thing. There's less moments like that if you do the jump around kind of strategy here. So that's why I'm instead opting to focus on one or two people here. I kind of missed a couple of turns of commentaries. Let me catch up real quick. 2-star Medusa, pretty good. She's generally the replacement hunter that you want after you get Sniper and Weaver. You know, Lycan or Terrorblade can work for a while, but obviously Medusa is the pick. Somehow gets a 2-star Medusa before a 2-star Sniper, so that's unusual to say the least. But then again, of course, you know, 4 people are after Sniper, so maybe it's not that unusual. The Medusa, I kind of think should be placed one more spot closer to the center, just to really maximize her 3-cell radius around her for a Stone Gaze. Up to 3 cells away, like right now, 3 cells away onto the right is off the board, whereas if she was right here, you basically still cover everything that you do, but you just cover one more column to the left. Minor point. But yeah, this is looking pretty good for Pouty Panda right here. Obviously, would still like the 2-star Sniper, and is holding on to the Sand King to replace this Broodmother at some point, just because Sand King is just really strong. But I kind of like where they're at the moment here. Alright, let's catch up on chat here. Know any good cast and play? Enjoy the play indication. Taught me so much by playing with me. It's awesome. So glad that you find value in those. It definitely is tough to commentate while playing. It is not trivial. been in the league scene and agree with perspective on the action display. Yeah. Do I know these players? Kind of. I've been casting this tournament for a few weeks now, so I'm familiar with some of them. That's another thing that I think would need to be developed out a bit more. Once, hopefully once a more robust tournament scene comes into existence and comes into play, is really getting to know the players a little bit better and their tendencies, and like some of it comes from just like talking with players outside of the game and like interviews and stuff, like to get a feel for their playstyle, like what they don't like. And that also comes down to like me as casters, like taking notes on these things, which like I haven't done really, to like really get a feel for like what everyone's strategies and tendencies are, to bring that kind of level of analysis. Like I know in a lot of other games you can say, oh, this player plays this hero a whole lot. Now, of course, in Underlords, you don't need that, but like still knowing that like some players have certain preferences and certain styles and certain beliefs about what items and what units and what strategies are good and not good can still inform a cast to an extent. So that's something that I think I'll have to work to develop over time. But some of these players I will say that I'm familiar with to the extent that I've played with and against them, and I recognize their name, I know their rank, I know that they are generally good players, but I don't quite have as much level of detail into like all of their strategies and habits that I would like compared to lots of other games. So, both Blue and Sleep getting eliminated in 7th and 6th place respectively. Unfortunately, Blue with the Assassin build that was really far behind on gold in the early game does not make it very far here. Gets eliminated just a second before Sleep. Yeah, that was not the most stellar of start. Like their net worth was just so far below where it needed to be in the early game, and that just really snowballed out of control here. It doesn't help that there's 4 Scrappies in the top 5 here, and Scrappies are just really strong. And there's 2 2-star Medusas, which, like, I don't know how they're both in 5th and 6th place. I feel like 2-star Medusa is like the crowning gem here, other than like a 2-star Gyrocopter. I guess missing some Gyrocopters has been hurting people, and missing the 2-star Sniper as well. But yeah, Medusa should hopefully make up for that. Is a single star Medusa a good sub for 2 to 3 Heartless Ranger switch? Yeah, I think so. I think if you're running Hunters, you just play a 1-star Medusa over like any other Hunter. Like the Hunter Alliance and the fact that like she holds so many items so well. Like Desolator is one of the better ones on her because she applies it to every target hit with Split Shot. Just makes Medusa just such a great option in a lot of different situations. Pettipen is going to take a small loss here to HTPG, or the ghost of them, rather. So, a little unfortunate, but not a huge loss. Like, the fact that a lot of these scrappy builds are just super evenly matched is really what is going on here. I think Patty Panda, when we tabbed out, they did find a 2-star Sand King. So, having most of the units that they're really looking for, the big problem here is the 1-star Sniper. Like, literally a 2-star Sniper, I think, just dominates this game. This build with the 2-star Sniper is so powerful. I guess it is still missing the Gyrocopter, right? Still wanted Gyro, but there's a lot of them left in the pool. Let's find a Butterfly here. I have to imagine that's the pickup. Yeah, Butterfly, definitely the pick. Very strong item. Going on the Medusa. So she's not going to apply the Desolator to everybody, but she's going to hit a lot harder. And the Split Shot obviously still applies bonus damage from attack damage. So still reasonable on Medusa, but maybe not quite as utility, but just doubling down on Medusa's damage output here. Hey, what's up, Isaiah? How you doing? Blue and Sleep being eliminated, they were off meta builds. Could the non-contested build be stronger? Yeah, that's the ideal, right? That is the ideal state of balance in a game would be, because there's 4 players going scrappy, and you're still running 1-star Sniper, and you're running 1-star Clockwork, and you're running whatever, and 1-star Tinker, that those different builds that aren't running scrappies, it should be a lot easier to find the upgrades that they want. And I think we're at a spot where even when a build is contested, unless you're going for 3 stars, it's really not that hard to find the units that you're looking for. I think that has a couple of factors. With Scrappies in particular, it's because their like key units are 3 cost, not 4. So they rely on Sniper, they rely on Clockwork, and like Tinker and Weaver, right? For like a lot of their game revolves around those units. And it's like Sand King, you know, it's a good addition. But if it was a Broodmother, yeah, you know, it'd still be functional. Alchemist, yeah, you want him at least at 1 star so you can complete the Scrappy bonus, but yeah, you know, 2 stars also good, I guess, but like he's not your big carry, he's not your highest damage dealer. Like Timbersaws and Eno and Weaver and Snipers are generally your highest damage dealers. I think if builds are more focused on the 4 cost units, there's room to like make them rare and harder to find, such that builds that like are contested like are just really going to struggle without getting their 4 cost units online. It's part of the reason that we see like builds like with Dragon Knight when he's contested. Like the difference between a 1 and 2 star Dragon Knight is massive. So missing out on that is pretty huge. Whereas like the difference in missing out on a 1 versus 2 star Alchemist is like medium. It's not that huge. Is game balance where I want it? No, I mean, I think game balance is pretty good. I just think that Scrappies are a touch above and Eno is a touch above. And like, it doesn't mean that other strategies can't succeed. I think they also misplayed the game pretty horribly. I think Cost Blue had just like no gold early on, so that like they were behind like 20 gold by round 7. It was like really weird. So like mismanaging your economy is a one-way ticket to last place in these kind of high-ranking lobbies. And Sleep is running like a warrior or brute mage spirit build. I didn't really get to see what it was, but it was very weird and like probably just like very weird to the point of not being good. So I think that was more of a problem rather than like being poorly balanced. It's like there are sometimes just comps that are just bad, and you're playing a bad one. Like I don't know what to tell you. All right, so Patty Panda does knock out Lord Gort here, unfortunately, in 5th place. So after quite a while after the first Sleep and Blue went out. Very close game though, and we do see one of the Scrappies fall, and big change there was the Gyrocopter. There's still there's 2 people picked up 2 2-star Gyrocopters, and getting that Deadeye ace is just massively impactful. And a 2-star Sniper. I really think this is looking good for Patty Panda, but of course it's also looking good for everybody else. They don't have 2-star Medusa. Only Lord Gort and Patty Panda had the Medusa 2-star. So it's a little bit of a beacon of hope there, but the bigger part I think is the life total differential. There's 61 health on its Martini, and Patty Panda is probably going to be able to put up a fight here and maybe move up into 3rd, but like I really struggle, no matter how good your comp is, like there's going to be enough time for these other builds to take you over, and a 2-star Gyrocopter may just be enough already to take over. This kind of formation is really good from HTPG here. The Sand King like pretty much ulted nobody, went into a different direction. Like it really needed to ult the Gyrocopter to be successful here, and the Gyrocopter has like been pretty much uncontested for HTPG. This is really good. Like this is a positioning fight. Is still going to lose? Are they? I don't even know. This Gyrocopter, like the evasion on the Butterfly is just something else. It looks like they're going to win, but just narrowly against Patty Panda here. Yeah, like I think this whole fight for HTPG is what came down to the good positioning, the kind of split positioning to 2 corners to bait Sand Kings, which we know like I guess there's really only 1 Sand King in the game, honestly. But like hop over to their positioning. Oh wait, they didn't have that kind of split positioning. How did it get over there? Wait, what? Why did Sand King ult into this back left corner? Was it literally because the Queen of Pain was still here and she didn't jump? I thought there was like a non-jumping unit over here on the left, like a Tinker or something. I guess I was just wrong. That was weird. Huh. Anyway, Patty Panda going up against Nexus here is running the Knights build, the lone remaining not scrappy build, and unfortunately I think they're in a very bad spot against this Medusa. Like, she's going to ult, like, pretty much all of the damage dealers, the Dragon Knight, the Chaos Knight. The Chaos Knight actually turned around and avoided the Stone Gaze, but then gets caught in the Eno all-out attack, and that is gonna be the death of him. The Eno does have a stolen Vlad's Offering, but all the units are dead for Nexus, and this scrappy build just shows no mercy and knocks out the Knights in 4th place, unfortunately. Knights had a pretty decent build, was still lacking the 6th Knight bonus, and really that all-out attack, like, is just a huge detriment to all the healing. If you're building your build around having healers, getting hit with 5 stacks of poison is just disastrous for you. All your healing gets cut in half. It's so bad. So, yeah, that's where all-out attack Eno, just him being strong, just means that healing effects are super weak. So there's a Vlad's Offering and a Moonshard coming out on the other side. I don't think Horn of the Alpha is all that strong. It's a cool effect. It's like a epic feeling effect. It's not particularly a good effect. It's just not strong enough. Opting for another Butterfly on Alchemist here this time, providing some good survivability in the front line, and he actually has reasonably good damage output. Like 209 DPS is nothing to scoff at. Like, the Medusa's single target DPS is only 256 rather. Gyrocopter's DPS is even lower, 78 auto attacks. Like, Alchemist actually has pretty good auto attack DPS with this Butterfly. He has a pretty fast attack speed, pretty good attack damage. Like, his punches, his punches matter. Like, his auto attack is nothing really to scoff at. And, you know, then he dies, and then it becomes a little to scoff at. And, yeah, here we see the higher health total, the better gold, the better economy, the level 10 of its Martini, just being able to take that extra level up where Patty Panda did not get it, was able to make the difference here. And they had pretty similar builds, all things considered. Did have a scaled, which maybe helped a little bit against Gyrocopter and other magic damage output, but 2-star Gyro is definitely going to do that, plus the extra level up to get an extra unit in is going to tip the scales in favor of the scaled build, and its Martini takes out Pouty Panda. Let's hop over to Is Martini, who is currently the front runner here, but HCPG is on a good win streak and has just beaten Martini's Ghost. I think that may just change here with the 2-star Medusa, who is positioned in what I think is a good Medusa spot. There's a little more centrally located, better radius for her Stone Gaze, and also has an Eye of Scotty, so being constantly slowing everybody. Both teams have the 2-star Gyrocopter. I was just checking to see how many assassins there were. There's a good number of assassins for HDPG, so this target buddy is going to do a lot of work here just to prevent this Gyrocopter from being jumped on. I don't really know why Gyrocopter moved initially from his first spot. Like, he has infinite range. I don't know why he moved, but it looks like that 2-star Medusa is definitely enough to. Wait, I should hold off for a second. I was gonna say, it's definitely enough to make the difference, but it does look like they're still gonna be able to get it. It'll be a close one though. This game is gonna go on for a while. This game is gonna go on for a few more minutes. It's gonna take a few here, as the winner is only gonna deal 5 damage. Martini deals 5 to HPG. So at this rate, we got 5 more rounds on us. Gyro has 6 range. Isn't that infinite? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Possible. Tell me it doesn't say it in the stats page. Attack range. Okay, he only has 6 range. Huh. Was there a time when he had infinite range? I feel like there was a time when he had infinite range. 7. 7 is infinite. Because if you're in one corner, it hits everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 is infinite range. I just assumed both Gyrocopter and Sniper both had 7 range. Is there a time that he didn't? I'm pretty sure there was a time when Gyrocopter had 7 range. Was that like an undocumented patch change? I feel like it was. I'm gonna assume it was that was an undocumented change at one point. Or maybe I'm just stupid. Oh, I missed earlier. Just gonna point out, Pouty made third with a losing round-by-round score. Yeah, 15 and 16, despite like Nexus having 18 and 11. That's definitely an important point. Is losing rounds early is not that bad. Like you can lose rounds early. So like your exact round-by-round score is not the end-all be-all, and you know, taking an early loss, early losing streak, or even losing in the mid game, going on a losing streak is not bad if you're not losing by much. It's all about like setting yourself up for success and making sure you have a life total to get there. So, you know, really that is definitely a testament to being able to mitigate that mid game. Like even when you're losing by just 2 or 3. You're just losing by a little bit, so that you can lose that many rounds, and you're not taking the big 20 damage losses. Which, to be fair, I think is also a product of how many scrappies are in this game. Generally, the builds that crush crush for 20 plus damage are like the healer builds, the knights builds, the druids, the warlocks that can just overrun you. We didn't see too many of those in this game. So there probably weren't too many fights decided by 20 plus damage. Whereas if you're weak as a scrappy player, you just don't kill anybody on that team, and then it gets embarrassing. But when it's generally a lot of scrappy versus scrappy builds, you can often see that kind of situation arise where it's like, yeah, whoever wins by 5 or 6 or 7, like we've been seeing these past couple fights. Even this late game, fights are close between both scrappy players. And honestly, I think that is very common between all phases of the game. That the winner only narrowly wins. Which is, of course, what also allows you to get to that point where you have a losing record, but you still finish in the top 3. Yeah, can't get overrun if you get scrapped dead. I agree, because at least you're gonna get some kills with that. You're probably gonna get at least some kills with Scrappy and Deadeye. We're getting around 36. This is really late. Picking up Dagon and Tombstone. I'm not a huge fan of Dagon, but Dagon does work pretty well on somebody like Weaver, who's like gonna definitely survive for like longer into the fight. So you can get multiple procs off. Or I guess I can go on Target Buddy. That's actually kind of funny. I forgot Target Buddy can hold Dagon somehow. That's actually really cute. I like it. HTPG is picking up Tombstone, which like Tombstone's been nerfed over and over again. It used to be 2 radius, and it used to only cost the tier 4. But it's in a really good spot. You know, everybody's still in it. It's gonna make a lot of zombies, and the zombies do have the scrappy bonus. So like, maybe this helps. It's looking like it is. These zombies are not messing around. And the Tombstone also tanks insects forever. Tombstone tanking insects may be like the hidden variable here. Oh my goodness. We're gonna go to around 40, aren't we? We're gonna go to around 40, aren't we? Probably. Oh, maybe not. Martini got a second 2-star Medusa. That's gonna go in probably over the starter? Scale bonus is nice. I mean, it reduces the gyrocopter damage. But that's it? I mean, Tinker damage, I guess. But like a second Medusa? Like a second stun? I think I like that a touch better than a 20% reduction on some of their abilities. And of course the damage output from another 2-star Medusa is nothing to scoff at either. You can deal tons of damage. I just want to watch the target buddy's damage. That's what I'm more interested in. Yeah. The Medusas are cool. But like, have you ever had target buddy outdamage your Weaver? Outdamage your Insect Alliance? Outdamage your Nyx Assassin? Outdamage your Alchemist and Clockwork? The target buddy carry, man! Alright, then they die, but... It was fun while it lasted. Look at this target buddy's damage output. You have a 3-star Tinker in the shop? No! Oh, you're gonna get it at least. There's a 3-star Tinker in the shop with the lock. Oh boy. We may still have a game on our hands. Like, with how close these fights are, like, it just always comes down to NO v NO. But there's a 3-star Tinker. Alright, we're going around 40. When everybody gets a tier 5 item. I think that's how it works. I think everybody has a tier 5 item option on round 40. This is quite the barn burner here. Just keeps on going and going. Both sides swinging big hitters at each other. I don't think Martini adapted well to this positioning of the Tinker. The 3-star Tinker is such a big carry, and having just the Alchemist in front of it and no other focus fire on it is like really bad. You basically just gave this Tinker a lot of free mana, and he has 44 kills with his Stonehold Cloak. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this Tinker is good. This Tinker is good. Did Tinker just miss his rockets there? I feel like he didn't shoot out rockets. After Enna leaped down here, I have to check the replay, but I feel like the Tinker had full mana, but he was stunned because Enna Escape Artist. And then Enno landed. Tinker did the animation, but I didn't see a rocket go out. Not that it really changed the outcome of the fight. And the last time you saw a game go to around 37? It's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen a game go this late. And the end is not in sight, for what it's worth. The end is nowhere in sight. That was a really good Sand King ult. Hit everybody. Everybody on the team. That is one really good gyro ult and one really bad gyro ult. The opposite sides here. I just don't see how this Tinker is just ever dying. This Tinker has like 1,000,000 HP. 48 kills, 7k HP. This Tinker's never gonna die. If this Tinker ever does die, might be game over for HDPG, but Martini like doesn't have a good way of dealing with the Tinker. Like the way you think a Tinker in the corner means it's really hard to focus fire down him middle. Because like you literally only have one column of people who are going to attack him. You can't go on the other side. Whereas if he was like in the Sand King spot, you can go on the other side and focus him. So the way you have to deal with a Tinker on like the side column is just like ignore it. And just hope its mana gain sucks. And then beat the rest of the board. But like in these scrappy v scrappy matchup, that's not really an option. Like you can't beat the rest of the board very well, and like the incidental AoE from these gyrocopters is just going to charge his mana too much. Like this Tinker is just going to like still be casting reasonably quickly. So like there's just not enough damage output here to be able to deal with it. It looks like we're done with round 40. We're done with round 41. Oh boy. I need some extra coffee for this one. We got at least one more round on our hands here. Alright, Bloodthorn. It's gotta be the pick, right? Radiance. Radiance. Well, Bloodthorn actually now gives the possibility of a way to deal with this gyrocopter. Bloodthorn. It would be really hard to ensure that Tinker's the first one to get max mana to get that Bloodborne or Bloodborne. But like that's what Martina's gonna go for. It has a second 2-star gyrocopter. I don't know how you fit that in over insects, right? Like who cares about insects? Wait, no, what did they cut? They cut the Medusa. Oh, okay. Martina just sold off a 2-star Medusa. Where were you the last time you were able to sell off a 2-star Medusa because it just wasn't good enough? So the Bloodthorn goes out on Weaver, it looked like? I don't even know who it went out on, but it is not really working here. The Tinker's still alive, and like, I'm not even watching the rest of the fight. I'm watching the Tinker. If you follow the Tinker, you know the result of the fight. And Tinker's still alive. Tinker wins. Good job, HTPG. That was that was looking very dire for very long, but turns out that a Radiance was what was needed to conquer the dire situation. Dota pun definitely intended. So HTPG gets a win here in the second game of the ESL Mobile Open, Phase 2 qualifiers, and we still got 3 more games ahead of us. So we got a little bit of time. I'm gonna take a really quick break here. I'm just gonna get up, stretch my legs a little bit, and I'll be right back in time for next game. Don't go anywhere. Alright, we're back. Players are still not quite ready. Did realize that I had some notifications that I turned off notifications for stream just because I didn't want it to pop up while we were talking about the tournament and doing casting. But did get a $1 donation from Rick. Says, thanks for casting. Thank you so much, Ricks, for that. That was a while ago. I apologize that I didn't get that, and if you're not in chat anymore, I'm sorry. But I really do appreciate that. It's very nice. Sorry, I do have the notifications and everything disabled here. Why am I getting dropped frames? Is that really a thing that's been happening? Oh, I see. Yeah, I'll do it. Damn it. Okay, so I see the problem. Okay, so what am I going to do about this? I think I just power through it. I hope it's not too bad. Has it been too bad? I feel like it's been bad. Okay. What I'm going to do here real quick before this next game, I'm going to turn my stream off and turn it back on again. I hope I can keep it on the same page here, but if not, it may need to be like a new event, and you may need to go click it somewhere else. Like just go back to my channel and refresh it. But I'm going to have to end it real quick and restart it just because there's some technical issues that I think I can resolve really quick. So just either stay put, or if I'm not back in another minute, just refresh the page, or refresh like my channel page, and you should see it there again.